Guys, welcome back to another episode of Piston.my, and in today's video I want to talk about hydrogen energy. You know, it has suddenly come back into news and it's suddenly a hot topic again. I mean, it's not like it ever went away, but it has always been sort of simmering in the background, and it's always been a yes or no solution to our energy crisis. And you know, suddenly automakers are saying that hydrogen may not be that bad after all. But is it really the future for mobility, for personal mobility? I have my skepticism, simply because the infrastructure, one, it's going to cost a lot of money to develop the infrastructure to support hydrogen energy. I read a report that said somewhere along the lines that for current petrol stations to adopt hydrogen tanks and, you know, the entire renovations and such, is going to cost somewhere about $2 million per petrol station, per station. $2 million. Crazy amount of money, and considering that most petrol stations in Malaysia are somewhat privately owned, so will these privately owned stations be willing to put in that kind of money to support hydrogen fuel cells? And then of course there's the entire issue of safety and such. You know, there's a lot of information out there, but today I'm about to go and pick up a friend of mine who is very well versed in this topic, and I'm going to get his thoughts on this. So guys, this is Azrai, and I've known Azrai for I think about 15 years now, from your A1 Malaysia, Team Malaysia days. How long ago was that?
That was in 2007, 2008 until 2010.
Yeah, about there.
Correct.
And so Azrai has graciously accepted my offer to, you know, ask him some questions. But Azrai, why is it that whatever that I ask you, or why are you sort of qualified to answer these questions? You want to talk a bit about your background?
Sure. I'll do my best. And well, partly because I was involved in motorsport and automotive. Right. So I mean, where you know me, you've known me through my motorsport related endeavors. I've worked in A1GP, representing A1 Team Malaysia as a commercial deputy director, and then I joined Team Lotus for Formula One, Tony Fernandez's Formula One team on marketing side. But a lot of folks, especially you guys who knew me in A1 Team Malaysia, are not aware that my background is actually technical. I'm actually engineering in background, not commercial. The commercial part came a bit later.
About hydrogen power,
right?
It has, I know it has always been in the background of sorts. You know, it has a viable alternative, or rather, you know, you hear some academics saying that it, simply because it's the most abundant element in the universe, that it should be the proper way, or rather it is the solution to our energy crisis in terms of environmental impact and in terms of efficiency. But now we are hearing more and more manufacturers talking about it. In fact, in the last couple of days, even Toyota has showcased their hydrogen capabilities with the new Mira, if I'm not mistaken. And the good thing that has come out of that is that the sound of the internal combustion engine, and rather the exhaust note, has sort of been retained, which means there is a future for us petrol heads. If we might have to call ourselves hydrogen heads in the future, if hydrogen does have its way. You know. But why is it coming back into the picture now, and why is it becoming more and more popular?
Well, it's a number of things, and due to varying infrastructure across the globe, different countries, different methods different countries employ to generate electricity. So this is currently in the market. You see this hydrogen versus EV war, so to speak. Some some folks and some countries are pro hydrogen, some are pro EV.
Yeah.
In my view, as they say, horses for courses.
Yeah.
They all have their place in the market,
Yeah.
right? It depends on the application.
Yeah.
Is it light passenger mobility like a car like this, or is it for heavy commercial vehicle trucks?
Yeah.
And also what territory, what part of the world you are in, and that country in particular, how do they generate their electricity? Is it coal based or are they nuclear?
Yeah.
Where hydrogen makes sense is when the application is more heavy commercial.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense because you can refuel very quickly. You don't have to have a huge charging infrastructure where you have to charge. You can't do 22 kilowatt or even 40 kilowatt fast charging here. For vehicle and trucks, you need easily something like 200-300 kilowatt, because you can't wait around too long. Time is money. And then also some countries like Japan, they are mostly nuclear powered, so they don't produce any CO2 when they generate the power. So then hydrogen makes a lot of sense because hydrogen, although abundant, you mentioned it's abundant, it does not exist
in pure form.
It's in a compound form, so you have to separate, you have to put energy into it. So where your energy comes from to do that is very important. If you're using nuclear, then it's cool, it's viable. But if you're burning coal, then you're just adding to the wheel to well CO2 emission if you do the audit of the CO2.
So for hydrogen to be a viable means of combustion, it needs to be properly available for the mass public. In Malaysia, for hydrogen energy to be properly viable, it needs to be very, very accessible. So for that to happen, petrol stations will have to adopt hydrogen tanks, right? And most petrol stations in Malaysia are privately owned. And I read a report that for petrol stations to actually convert and adapt to hydrogen energy, to be able to offer hydrogen refuelability, if I can call it that, the cost of it is somewhere in the region of $2 million. That is a crazy amount of money for privately owned petrol stations to adopt hydrogen. What are your thoughts on that? Like, if it's not available in mass, then is it really a proper solution?
Yeah, unfortunately, that is one of the drawbacks of hydrogen fuel chain or value chain. Infrastructure costs are high. It's undeniable. Unfortunately, it is. You can try to. One of the promises was that you have your existing petrol station infrastructure, you can just tap on that, but it's still, as you pointed out, it's not viable for the operator. That's why it boils down to the type of application that you want to use the hydrogen for. It makes more sense for industrial users because they can put up the capex and they are just looking at the amortization of the capex over time, and they can absorb it. They're looking at it in the long run. So it's more suitable for that. I don't think for the next short-term foreseeable future that we will have hydrogen stations right here.
For civilian use.
I don't know whether you're partnered with any of these guys.
No, this is completely sponsorship free.
Okay, you're right. So it's that's the downside, I would say, for light passenger vehicles. Hydrogen is a bit tough in my view. And therefore it creates some interesting technological R&D developments has been in the news lately about if you read recently, hydrogen goop and all that. So there are these things try to mitigate the infrastructure cost by having storage tanks and safety is required for that. So we'll see. We'll still have to see where on the front of light passenger vehicles we have to see what the developments are.